Good afternoon. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundance Television, syndicated by using Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast, netsnewsnetwork.net. I have a very special friend with me right now. His name is Dr. Alan Mendenhall. And Alan, it's great to be with you. How are
Donna,
you doing today?
I'm doing very well. It's great to be with you too. I'm talking into just an isolated camera over here, but your image is here. So I may have the tendency to talk to your face, but I'll try to focus on the camera. But yeah, I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing great. But before we get started, I just wanted to say a word of congratulations here. Tell us about this.
Oh, thank you. It was quite an honor. I received an academic prize from the Heritage Foundation. And the Heritage Foundation had this notion that the academic environment is challenging for people who are generally conservative, who explore economic freedom, the dignity of the person, human flourishing, constitutional governance, national sovereignty, and all kinds of issues related to sort of traditional American freedom. And so they developed an academic prize that they would award to scholars they felt were doing work compatible with the work that the Heritage Foundation was doing. And so I was very honored and happy and surprised to be one of the recipients of the award, one of the inaugural recipients. So in a couple of months here, I'll go up to DC and spend some time up at the Heritage Foundation with some of my other fellow prize members, and we'll have an interesting time meeting each other and learning together and talking about our work.
Well, it's well deserved. I'm not a bit shocked.
Well, thank you. It was very, very kind of the committee to consider me alongside some people who are very prestigious and have accomplished great things. And I feel as if I'm still young and green by comparison to some of the recipients. So it was quite an honor.
Not me. Very well deserved. Absolutely. So you are the executive director at the Manuel H. Johnson Center for Political Economy. And I'm going to tell you what, you're my go-to guy for anything politics in general.
Well, thank you. I've always enjoyed being on the show. We've been doing this for a long time now, since 2016. It's funny because it doesn't feel like very long, but the years just keep spinning by.
Mm-hmm. Well, we never run out of topics. I mean, they're just kind of thrown at us. We don't even
I know. When I first started coming on the show, I would actually study and cram and make notes before I came on. And and now I've been on so many times, I just kind of roll with it.
Well, it's because you have all this great experience. Now, you are involved in a lot of different, I mean, the topics are there. We've talked a lot about the government and what we're in for, the economy, about how that whole thing has changed since COVID hit. That was another turnaround for us. And I mean, so many things have happened. It's just almost like a roller coaster ride. And I mean, it's all there. But now you've been speaking a lot lately about BlackRock. You want to go ahead and start that topic?
Sure. Yeah, happy to do it. BlackRock is the principal driver of ESG, which is the acronym standing for Environmental, Social, and Governance, which is principally a movement within finance, investment, and banking. It derived from a conference hosted by the United Nations and the government of Switzerland back in 2004 called Who Cares Wins, with the idea that they were going to try to get big asset managers and proxy advisors and others in banking and government to buy into this notion that ESG could drive social and sustainable goals. BlackRock is the world's largest asset management firm and it has about $10 trillion of assets under management. So a lot of money. You'll hear the term the big three used to describe BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. Together, they own close to 20 trillion. I say own, they manage close to $20 trillion. So they have around $20 trillion of assets under management. BlackRock advocates ESG and sustainable investment, perhaps to mask some of the shadier areas in which it's involved.
Mm-hmm. That's where I'm going. Yeah.
Yeah, it's involved in the weapons industry. It's involved with China. It's the first sort of U.S. Company to be able to get into the mutual fund industry in China. It pours investments into the Chinese economy. Two companies in particular, one's called Hikvision, one's called iFly Tech. They are Chinese surveillance companies that have been implicated in the persecution of the Uyghur Muslims in China. Mm-hmm. But BlackRock's whole business model is designed around getting government business. During the pandemic, for instance, the Federal Reserve hired BlackRock to advise on how it could stabilize the bond market. Mm-hmm. And as part of that deal, the Federal Reserve was able to buy ETFs, exchange traded funds from BlackRock. So this is like the definition of cronyism. This is I scratch my back, you scratch your. It was the other way around. You scratch my back, I scratch yours, or whatever. But this is cronyism at the highest levels, and it's not just the U.S. government that BlackRock is contracted with. It's contracted with the British Treasury, the Swiss National Bank, the European Central Bank, mm-hmm. The government of Greece, and BlackRock exercises its influence not just through its investment strategies by investing in ESG-weighted portfolios, but also by going out and buying shares of publicly traded companies and then engaging the boards of directors of those companies to try to push those companies into politics, in particular into leftist politics, or into policies that are ESG. The more that BlackRock can push other companies into ESG, the more BlackRock's ESG investments help. So there's a nefarious conflict of interest that goes on. There are also breaches of fiduciary duty that go on when BlackRock invests, for example, state pension money in underperforming ESG funds. That's another way BlackRock is sort of government. It invests, municipal bonds and invests sovereign wealth funds. So oil-rich countries may have sovereign wealth funds, and BlackRock may invest those funds. And of course, state and federal pension money. We've had some states decide that they're going to divest from BlackRock, West Virginia and Florida and Texas. And I do not know this for sure, but I have heard that Alabama sort of silently divested from BlackRock, that young Boozer divested without making a big deal of it. He didn't make a big PR campaign out of it. He didn't issue press releases. He just silently withdrew from BlackRock. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not. That's just what I've been told. I have also heard from an attorney that did an open records request with the RSA, seeking any records they would have regarding the RSA's involvement with BlackRock. And RSA responded with nothing. We don't have any involvement with BlackRock. So perhaps that's true. But another example, this is going back a ways, but after the 2008 financial crisis, the U.S. Treasury Department hired BlackRock to manage the toxic assets involved in that crisis. Mm-hmm. The Federal Reserve handled the debt settlement of Bear Stearns. So BlackRock has made its business model on working in concert with government, and that's how it operates. That's how it gets its business. And I was on a show in Sri Lanka a few days ago. It hasn't aired as of when we sit here and talk right now. It hasn't aired, but the interview occurred already. And the reason the program wanted to ask me about BlackRock is because apparently BlackRock was getting into the government bond market and buying up a bunch of government bonds in Sri Lanka. And they wanted to know, why is BlackRock doing that in our country? And my answer was, well, because that's what their business model is. And they're taking some hits here in the United States because people are starting to wake up to the reality of what BlackRock is and does, and they're starting to push back. So they're just looking for new markets. And this is their business model, to work with government money.
Well, let me ask you a question too, and it really pertains to a particular word, and I'm looking at their website right now, but it says this is the word regime.
Oh, interesting.
When you think of the word regime, do you think of that as a private company, just like a Donna Fiesel Associates, or do you think of it more as a spider web around the government type of a company?
I would say the latter. I mean, when I hear the word regime, I tend to think of, military associations and sort of nefarious government. I would call, Saddam Hussein's regime or something like that. That's sort of how I think of
the Joe Biden regime. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, is that the term BlackRock actually uses for itself? That's sort
I
of
wonder.
frightening.
Yes, it does. And
Wow.
that caught me. That particular word, if that not, does that not spout something out to you? I mean, it's like new regime, new opportunities.
Well, it's not. It's surprising that they would be that open with it, but that would, as a pejorative, that would be the term that I might use for BlackRock. So it's interesting that they're just embracing it. But yeah, I think it's a fitting term actually, because if you look at the sort of coordinated efforts that BlackRock is involved in, they include the World Economic Forum, which meets in Davos, Switzerland all the time, and the Business Roundtable, which in 2019 purported to redefine the purpose of corporations away from profit maximization and toward the stakeholder model of government of corporate governance, which allegedly enables companies to pursue sustainable good, or to give back to the world, or to make the world a better place, or all these sort of flowery language things that sound really good, that people would say, oh, that sounds wonderful. May as well throw in apple pie and America and everything else in there. It sounds great, but really they're sort of meaningless signifiers. And
Speaking of great things, I'm out in the country. I chose to get away from all the hustle and bustle.
I thought I heard a little rooster. Is that what was? I hear some
So my
cockadoodles.
studio is in the country, okay? 38 acres of land. That's where I love to be.
I'm going to be joining you pretty soon and buying some land. And my wife has 50 chickens right now, and so I'm used to that cockadoodle doing. That is.
He's jealous. This is a very jealous rooster. And
what kind of chickens are they?
We just have all kinds, but this is a beautiful rooster, and he knows he's all that in a bag of chips. When he listens to me talk, he gets right outside my studio window every single time.
Well, you should tell him he's a little late. The sun came up a long time ago.
He doesn't care. He doesn't go by time like the rest of us do. But why are more people doing this? As a matter of fact, my friends in Charlotte can hardly believe this. They said, we saw you with your suits on and all this stuff all the time, and now you're on a farm. Why are you doing this? And I said, well, I had the farm in me all that time. I just, didn't have time for it, but I'm making time now.
Well, I think one reason that I'm considering it, well, besides the obvious, which is that my wife grew up on a farm. She's from Fort Deposit, and her parents still live on many, many acres, and she wants us to have horses and animals, and she's got 50 chickens, as I mentioned. Right now, my house is on a golf course, and so you can't have 50
no, that doesn't work.
So we're having to go find some land, and that way we can have the 50 chickens on there. But I think it'll also be a little bit of a stress alleviation, getting out kind of in nature and getting away from the hustle bustle a little bit, and just enjoying solitude and quiet. I mean, you don't get just a lot of quiet these days. We live in such a noisy culture. Even the 24-hour news cycle can be, it can be overbearing after a while. It can weigh you down, and sometimes it's nice to just get an escape and go out and sit on the porch and read a book.
Mm-hmm. It really is. And we're all looking for stress relievers right now. And I'm in the business. I have to know what's going on. So you can imagine I have to be in the news. I have to know what it is.
Me too. I'm in the same boat, Donna. I have to follow the news, follow the media, have to be in the know. But it sure is nice to unplug, so to speak. I'm not exactly going off the grid, but
I'm considering it. The people who live off the grid, I used to think were really strange and weird. I'm beginning to figure this. They are the smartest people you will ever meet. I mean, they got it going on. But a lot of it. So I'm this serious about it. So I've just finished taking some classes through Auburn University.
Oh, neat.
60-something years old. I can't get out of school. And so, but it's about gardening. It's master gardening, that kind of thing. And if you can do it. Okay, you will learn so much. But the people I met in class are people who have moved in from all over the country. They're coming to Alabama because they can buy land at a very good price. And I'll have to tell you, they're not libs. Well, I had one lib in the class, but I could live with that. but they're fed up and they're tired. They're just, they miss the conveniences they had in the big city. Atlanta, New York, that's where these people are coming in from, and from California. And people are looking for something. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing. I think that most of the people coming here are coming here because of what we offer to them. And people that don't like what Alabama has to offer aren't going to come here. So I speak to people all the time who move here because of our politics and because they think we're open for business in a way that their states weren't. A lot of them moved here during and after COVID because they were so mad at their state for locking down, and they said, that's it, I'm done. Last straw. I know people who have moved here because their children weren't able to go to school in New York, and they came here because they said, look, we have learning loss going on. We got to go somewhere where we can put our kids in school. And Alabama doesn't exactly rank highly on national indices when it comes to our public school education, at least. And the people that I'm thinking of are actually parents of children in private schools. But I think having school actually operational is a better alternative than having kids just get online and Zoom in with their teachers. And fortunately, I think that's all behind us by now. But people are still mad about what happened. And now that the data are in, and now that we sort of know the severity of COVID, what it was, how it spread, and those kinds of things, and we're starting to realize we overdid it. We didn't need to lock down, and that in fact some of these lockdown measures may have caused the virus to be more potent than it would have been otherwise. It may have diminished the herd immunity and things like that. So I'm not a scientist, so I'm just speaking on what I read at sort of a surface level. But I think it's very telling that people are lining up to come to Alabama and to other red states as well. Texas and Florida, of course, are booming. They're the ones that everyone looks at, but there are states like Alabama. I mean, we've got the beaches, we got the mountains, we got farmland, we've got all kinds of things to offer. We've definitely got football.
And very affordable. I mean, extremely affordable.
Absolutely.
It really is. I'm looking at BlackRock's site again, and I'm one of those that a word will just capture me.
Yeah.
I do that with books. I do that with everything. By the way, you're an author and a speaker, and we're going to be talking about that in a few minutes as well. But I'm looking at another word, and it's the word reset.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that? And can reset actually work both ways?
Well, so I'll tell you where the term the Great Reset comes from. There's the CEO of the World Economic Forum is a man named Klaus Schwab, and he wrote a book that talks about COVID-19 and the Great Reset. And he talks about the Great Reset being an opportunity for us to, like in a video game, hit the reset button. Let's start the economy. Let's start new. Let's adopt ESG and all these other measures. Let's be globally sustainable. One sort of perverse and kind of disgusting take from that book is that he kept referring to COVID as an opportunity. This is a pandemic. This is something. This is a sickness, and he kept referring to it as this is an opportunity to meddle with economies, to redefine the purpose of business, to adopt the stakeholder model of governance, to work with coordinate private and public entities toward the good. And again, some of the ends that he purports to seek sound really great in theory or in the abstract, but he's making a lot of money peddling ideas that have actually quite nefarious consequences.
Well, talk to any restaurant owner. Talk with any of them. I have one of my sponsors called one day and said, I need to talk to you about something. I've got to stop the advertising. I never thought I would ever hear that phrase from him. And I said, what are you talking about? I said, am I not sending you business? And he said, no, you're sending business. The problem is I don't have enough employees to support the business you're sending me.
Oh, wow.
And so he had to close down one of his locations. hoping, now this is like two locations about 30 miles from each other, hoping the employees from the other location would come to this one to keep. That didn't happen either. You can ask any of my sponsors who run restaurants. They're not happy with any of this.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough time. It's interesting. You have young people who think that they're too, I guess, entitled to work jobs in fast food or restaurants or whatever. You've got this quiet quitting phenomenon, which the Wall Street Journal highlighted recently, but is now being highlighted by global media. So it's an international phenomenon. It's not something occurring just in the United States. It's occurring in a lot of places. And quiet quitting is basically where you have, it's a trend among Gen Z and millennials. And what happens is they go to work, but instead of putting in some sort of formal notice of leave, they're just gradually checking out until they're not doing any work anymore, and then eventually they stop working and just see how long they can continue to get paid before they just finally get fired. It's a strange.
I can't get it. Okay, I grew up in the 70s. And it was ambition. I was a runner. I loved running in class. I never made it to the number one. I was always like number two or whatever. You know what my parents taught me? They said, well, then I guess you need to work a little harder for next year, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I was not, well, poor little pitiful you should have been number one. No, I wasn't good enough to be number one. The number one person outdid me. So it was up to me to try to outdo them. That's called ambition. But now in the world we're in right now, that's almost an ugly word. You should not be ambitious.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel as if there are many tensions here. Because I'm still young enough to remember coming up through college and high school, and I'm 40 years old, and I feel as if the generation now, the young generation, let's say teenagers through 30, whatever generation you would lump that into, they are coddled. They are coddled, and they're treated with a sense of entitlement, or they have a sense of entitlement. However, I do think that it is also more stressful than ever for this generation to have to meet benchmarks and to have to achieve. And they are not on social media in the same way some of the older generations are. In other words, they're not getting onto Facebook. They may use Instagram and they're using some TikTok, but they prefer sort of the vanishing mode. They prefer to get on and do their thing and then get off. So they're using social media in some ways and a little more savvier than we do in our generations. However, they are also just accustomed to being surveilled. They have no notion of privacy in the way that we grew up having a notion where you were not just constantly being watched. And for them, their whole lives are monitored. They are on a screen. Their primary social interactions are done by iPhones rather than in person. They develop their friendships online on the internet before they meet people in person. And so it's just a very different world for them. And I think that creates a lot of tension and a lot of stress. And I think that some of the older generations have left these young generations with a terrible economy. I mean, I think the federal student loans were intended to be something to help people go to college who couldn't afford it. But as with all government intentions, they go awry. And what happened is universities took advantage of this ready availability of student loan money, and they just continued to hike tuition, so that more and more students had to be dependent on government money to subsidize their tuition. And the universities got bigger. They grew the number of administrators they have, so they had administrative bloat. They were paying deans and other administrators high salaries, and this just continued to create a problem. Now we've got a pretty serious student debt problem, which I do not believe would be solved by just mass student loan forgiveness. I don't think that's the answer. But I think universities probably need to be on the hook to some degree for defaults on loans. If they're gonna cause the tuition prices to skyrocket the way they have, then maybe they ought to be on the hook for students who are just completely unable to pay back their loans because they weren't given an education that gave them a return on investment. They didn't have the opportunity to go out.
Well, it's not fair to the rest of us who worked really hard and paid for it ourselves and didn't get in debt.
Exactly. Think about the person who just maybe 1 month ago just finished off paying his student loans after 25 years, and then the next month all of a sudden, boop, no, we're wiping it away, and that person's going to think, I just spent 25 years. Yeah,
it's true. And I worked and went. So, that's the way it was. Let's go into a commercial break. We're going to be right back in just a few minutes. Everybody hang in there, okay? At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Because of all of you, MyPillow 2.0 has been a huge success, and now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere MyPillows with the same temperature-regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand-new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows Regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.
The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took My Pillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented My Pillow to bring you the best pillow in history, My Pillow 2.0. Because of all of you, My Pillow 2.0 has been a huge success, and now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere My Pillows with the same temperature regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of My Pillow. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our My Pillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 My Pillows and 2 Go Anywhere My Pillows, regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.
Good afternoon. We are back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Also, the podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. Alan Mendenhall is with me. By the way, Alan, if you get your feelings hurt, you do not want to go to that podcast, okay? Because people there, I'm just impressed that I'm actually in the midst of these folks of talk show hosts. They will tell it exactly like it is. So, and that's why we have you on the show. Now, you are an author and a speaker, so let's talk about that for a minute. You have several books. I've got your books, by the way.
Oh, great. That's wonderful. Well, yeah, I've got 2 new ones coming out. I have a novel coming out in, I believe, October. That's at least the scheduled date. And I've never written a novel before. So this is my first novel, and maybe the only one I ever write. It took a lot longer to write than other books because novels are so stylized and require certain prose, and you have to come up with the entire story yourself. So that will be coming out in October. And then I've got a book that will most likely come out in the fall as well on ESG, which is just a little primer on ESG that I'm co-authoring with someone named Scott Shepard, who's at the National Center for Public Policy Research in Washington, D.C. And we are working with the editors now to get that book ready for publication. And we're hoping we can have that in print by the fall. And again, that is a short book. It's just a primer on ESG, and it's designed to appeal to business people. We want it to be just sort of like an introduction to ESG for business people. And so those 2 books will come out in the fall. I believe that will be book number 8 and book number 9. So that's exciting.
Absolutely. And how can folks find your books?
The easiest way is you can just go on Amazon and type in my name, or just type in alanmendenhall.com, ALLENMENDENHALL.com. And my books are available by link through my website, and again through Amazon. But really, anywhere books are sold, as they used to say, that's where you can get them.
Absolutely.
Now that you don't have to go into a Barnes & Noble, you can just go to barnesandnoble.com and order it that way.
There you go. Have it sent right on in. We were talking right before we went into a break about reset. And I know there's a massive reset happening, and it's not the kind I like. I mean, it's however, I'm seeing another reset, and it's emerging, and it's the silent majority who has been so quiet all this time, and they're beginning to emerge. They're beginning to come out. And I'm seeing it I actually started seeing it happening within the school system, because I have, a lot of our listeners are sending me messages that they're taking their kids out of the regular schools, putting them in private school, and they are also homeschooling. Mm-hmm. That industry has just exploded. And I think it kind of went against what they were hoping it would do during the pandemic.
Yeah, certainly that was an unintended effect, wasn't it? And I think you're right. I think you're seeing a massive homeschooling, massive shift to private schools, all kinds of alternative schooling. And then the school choice movement is picking up steam. We had a school choice bill in the legislature this session here in Alabama that did not pass, but I can guarantee you there will be another one coming up because all the other red states are doing it. And Alabama tends to sort of lag behind what the other red states are doing, but it's been very popular in other states. These educational savings accounts that have been established in other states are very popular. And so I suspect we'll see some more legislation coming up in Alabama regarding that. But there was a poll, to your point. I don't recall if it came out this week or last week, but it's a recent poll regardless. And it was showing that America has become more socially conservative than it's been in a long time. And I suspect part of that has to do with the wokeification of corporate America, the sort of in-your-face politicization of everything, where you can't even go to a restaurant and drink out of a straw without making a political statement. I think people want to escape politics a little bit. Maybe this goes back to our point earlier about going and living on a farm, but when people see when there's Pride Month, and then there's this, and then there's that, and every month is dedicated to some social cause, and then several days out of each month are now holidays devoted to this or that, and everything's so politicized all the time. People are going to begin to push back. They're sort of sick of it. They don't want to just have to buy a pillow or buy a beard trimmer or buy a toothbrush because of the politics of some company. But that's where we are right now, where you have almost bifurcated markets. You've got parallel economies where you buy these products from these companies if you're conservative, and you buy those same products but from these companies if you lean left. And that is an odd polarization that only contributes to the fracture we have civically in this country, the sort of partisan fracture that we have.
But Alan, some of these companies have to be completely stupid. Okay, so let's just say I'm in the boardroom and I'm with, let's just use Bud Light for an example. Okay, and then someone says, I think we need to go woke. I think we need to have this man who dresses up like a woman be our spokesperson. I would be the one person in that conference room saying, excuse me, do you not know who our customers are?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Cracker Barrel doing the same thing. I mean,
even Chick-fil-A is falling into this. But yeah, it is silly. You remember the movie Big with Tom Hanks, of course, and it's a toy company, and they let the kid come in, and Tom Hanks is turned into an adult, but he's still got the mind of a child. And he's considered a genius because he knows how to play with all the toys. It's like the companies have forgotten how the economy is driven. It's driven by consumers. This isn't a top-down thing, or it shouldn't be a top-down thing. It can only be a top-down thing if you expand the size and scope of government and corporations coordinate with government to control the market. Then you can make it into a top-down thing. But that's not the way it should be, and that's not the way to make the market run as efficiently and effectively, and to provide goods and services as cheaply as possible for as many people as possible, which is what contributes to human flourishing in the long run. So we need to return to a model, not that we've ever existed in a state where this was ever perfect, but at least we need to be working towards an ideal where consumers are driving business decisions, and they're setting prices and interest rates, and these things aren't being established by governments and in coordination with banks and whatever corporation the federal government has chosen to be the winner, or in whatever particular field or industry. So I agree with you. That's a long-winded way of saying that I agree with you, and I don't know what the solution is. There's not a simple solution, but people are exercising boycotts. Obviously, people quit buying Bud Light, and the Anheuser-Busch stock tanked and took some major hits on revenue, and I think that's a good thing. Consumers need to send signals to companies that you don't need to do this. We don't want you doing that.
But then you have some companies who never get it. Cracker Barrel, a few years ago, decided to take the Duck Dynasty things out of their stores. which was a dumb mistake. And of course, they put them back in, but then they turned right around and did the same thing all over again with Pride. And by the way, I know people, okay, who are men, transgenders. I know them through business, and in Charlotte, North Carolina, most often. And they knew my thought process about that. They knew I didn't agree with it. I didn't hate them.
Sure,
I
right.
mean,
Well,
but they want to act as if people like me hate these folks, and I don't. I just can you not just disagree with something without somebody getting it out on you that you hate people?
Well, and it's if a grown consenting adult wants to dress in a manner that is more fitting for what traditionally was considered the different gender role, then that's that person making that voluntary decision. That's a very different thing from having drag queen story hour.
Absolutely. That I'm against.
For children, or even the Target merchandise. One reason it was so controversial is it was referring to sexual acts, but in little children, babies' clothing. I mean, a child shouldn't really have an awareness of sexuality until the body develops into a sexual being. And certainly an infant has no notion of sexuality, but even young children don't either. They don't have sexual urges. They haven't gone through puberty, and to try to distort their way of thinking or influence the way they're thinking about sexuality before they even really understand what sex is very problematic. It's troubling.
Well, what are your thoughts about parents? Because, and I've seen a lot of footage here, state of Alabama, right here. We're not isolated. So in Montgomery, Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, I mean, basically all over the state this past month, you will see these people at Pride events. Okay, if you don't know what sex you are, whatever, that's on you. That's nothing to me. However, there are parents who are bringing their 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds and whatever year olds to these events, and they're giving money to the children who are walking up, giving these people money. That's right there.
It's very clearly just an effort to brainwash young people. Even more disturbing is the sort of sexual reassignment surgeries going on with young people. Like a 7-year-old girl. Yeah, and it's funny because it wasn't that long ago. Let's say 20 years ago, where female genital mutilation was a big issue in human rights, and we were in the Western world concerned about, in particular, Middle Eastern countries that were mutilating, female sexual organs, and now we're doing that. Now we're doing that, and it's authorized and licensed and legal, and people are tinkering with sex organs of children who have not hit puberty yet, and that to me is such an odd shift. This started happening in Europe before it started happening in the United States, and now some of these children are grown, and they are beginning to sue doctors. So
they're messed up.
They're angry about it because they realized that they didn't have the agency. They weren't sophisticated enough. They didn't have the capacity to consent to such a procedure, to have the informed knowledge required to make permanent decisions decisions with permanent effects on your body. And so now you're starting to see these lawsuits in Europe pop up, and it will be interesting to see how they handle those, whether statutes of limitations will apply, whether doctors will be found liable for performing these surgeries, whether parents will be liable for pushing their kids into something that they weren't really able to consent to at that age. And I think we'll learn a lot from those trends in Europe about what will be coming here in, 18 years, when some of the kids who have gone through transition surgeries at young ages grow up and they become in their 20 something years old, and they say, well, my parents pushed me into this for their political views, and not because I really thought I was a male or a female, or that my gender didn't match my biologically assigned sex. And I I don't know what that's going to look like, but I suspect.
But wouldn't you think it's really, these people care less about whether somebody is confused about being a man or a woman. There's something bigger out there. There's a big tap root somewhere where all this is originating from. We're talking about that. We're talking about climate. We're talking about all of these things seem to be all they are is just the spokes to a wheel. But there's a wheel turner somewhere.
Well, there certainly are a lot of influential and wealthy people pushing it. And I think the ESG movement is in no small part a driver of these things. And it's a way to financialize these political movements. And it's a way where companies like BlackRock, which we spoke about earlier, can use government money, whether it's state pension money or even federal pension money or sovereign wealth funds, municipal bonds, whatever, and use the money in ways to invest in social causes with which many of the beneficiaries of, say, those pension funds disagree. You might have a Christian mom who's a public school teacher, and she has no idea that her pension money is going to subsidize Planned Parenthood indirectly, but nonetheless for that cause. And that's deeply troubling, and raises all kinds of ethical problems about what people can do with other people's money.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let's talk about the economy right now. Would you say, because from the Biden administration, that we have a better economy than we ever thought we were going to ever have on planet Earth in the history of time? Would you agree with that statement?
No. I think we're still dealing with serious inflationary pressures, and we've got unemployment issues. We've got a lot of problems. I mean, just look at the Federal Reserve, the way it has been raising interest rates after a prolonged period of keeping them at near zero, and causing sort of artificially stimulating the economy and causing malinvestment and triggering inflation. Now trying to dial back inflation, they're crushing other industries and businesses. I think we're going to see some real estate problems and maybe another housing bust. But we've already seen some almost run on banks. We've seen some failed banks, with Silicon Valley Bank being a prominent one, and FTX being another one. And those aren't good things.
I want to give you a website. This is for everybody. This is a go-to. I'm not going to say anything else about this. You just go to this website, okay? It's usdebtclock.org. Go there and let me know what you think about it.
Oh my goodness! I mean, we've got
that'll blow your mind.
Well over $30 trillion. $1,000.
And those numbers is live. Okay, this is real time. It's just on and on and on and on and on and on and on. That should scare the daylights out of everybody.
Well, and we just had this debate in Congress, federal Congress, over the debt ceiling and raising the debt ceiling and approving the budget and all that. But how long can this go? I mean,
it can't.
It can't. Right now, just the interest alone on that debt is astronomical. How can we ever pay it off? It's unbelievable.
Okay, and we only have 5 minutes left. I wish we had 2 more hours because I have so many things I want to talk to you about. Let's talk about Trump right now. Okay, so the smoking gun, we've heard all. I'm at the point now, I'm just yawning every time I hear something. This is the one. This is going to get him this time. We've heard that a million times. Yeah. What's going to happen if we don't get him back as president?
Well, if what you mean is what's going to happen if Joe Biden continues as president, I would say nothing. I would say nothing good, because I really think that we are at a state of fracture unlike any we've seen since the Civil War. And I'm not suggesting that we would militarize or anything like that, but I do think that the bifurcation of states into red states and blue states, and the way that red states are sort of cultivating an economy of their own, whereas blue states are cultivating an economy of their own. Red states are divesting from different asset management firms and from ESG. They are coordinating. Republicans' attorneys general are coordinating on lawsuits. I mean, I've never seen something like this before, where the sort of the defined lines of where states stand are becoming easier. I mean, we really only have like 6 states that are going to define the next election, because we pretty much know where 44 states are going to vote. The ones that are up in the air are Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. At this point, we sort of know that Florida's now red. Ohio is pretty much going to be red. Virginia is pretty much going to be blue. They're not swing states anymore. So, you kind of have where all but 6 states sort of know where they would fall if the United States broke up in another country. And, just because Marjorie Taylor Greene is the first person to bring up national divorce and she's a controversial figure doesn't mean that it's not a legitimate topic for mainstream discussion. And it may get to the point where things get so bad that we have to look at decentralization and diffusion of power, dispersal of power, and a sort of a major political realignment. There's nothing that guarantees that the United States of America will exist forever and ever under the jurisdictional boundaries and territorial parameters that it possesses currently. So,
but this is the thing though about your silent majority. Okay, I've mentioned this several times. Trump could come to Geraldine, Alabama, and thousands of people would be here. I would say probably 100,000 people would be here to see him. He's still gathering the crowds. What does that tell you?
Well, I think there's definitely a lot of support for Trump and Trumpism still. And, one unfortunate thing is that I think DeSantis embodied a lot of that. And I hate to see that the two of them going back and forth and having people choose sides, because, they are representative of the same sort of general movement. And, they offer something very different from, like, I don't know, a Mike Pence, or certainly like an Asa Hutchinson. And I'm
sorry, I laugh every time I hear that.
I know. I mean, I don't know what Asa Hutchinson.
Why is he doing that? I mean, you make money off of running for president. Is it like?
Yeah, you get the more fame you get, the more opportunities you get for consulting gigs, and
whatever.
More info, but, I mean, if you're Asa Hutchinson, you got to know you got no shot. But you get to go on TV a lot, because
you get to be seen.
If you criticize Trump, then and you call yourself a conservative, then the left just throws money at you. So it's actually lucrative. If you want to make money, you don't align yourself with Trump. You align yourself with, you say, I'm a conservative that doesn't like Trump, and then all of a sudden people throw money at you.
Less than a minute left in this segment. Who do you think Trump will pick for his running mate?
I don't know. I do get the impression that Vivek Ramaswamy is positioning himself for that possibility. He certainly isn't coming out swinging at Trump, and he's been very supportive of Trump. And of course, he came out and said that if I'm elected president, I will pardon Trump. He is a young, charismatic figure. He's only 37 years old, from Ohio, which is, like I mentioned earlier, leaning red. He established Strive Asset Management, which is doing such great work in pushing back against the Black Rocks in the ESG movement. And
it would be a good
one. Yeah, I think, he's inspiring. It would be, it wouldn't surprise me to see him be the nominee. And I think a lot of the others are already, out of play. I think Nikki Haley.
You mean you don't think Chris Christie has a shot?
It's just funny to see how the mainstream media and the legacy media trot him out, thinking that he's going to.
Oh, I remember when it was a different thing a few years ago. I remember.
Well, a decade ago, maybe a little more than a decade ago, he was the big thing, but. Those days are gone. He's still the big thing, but
he's still big, but not in the way we're saying.
But not politically.
Alan, we're going to have to call it a day. We need more time. Thank you so much for being on the show. And how can folks find your books again?
AlanMendenhall.com. www.AlanMendenhall.com.
Awesome. Hang around after the broadcast. We'll pick another date for you to come back next month. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good, Donna.
Okay. Thank you so much for watching. We'll have to let you go, but we're going to get Alan right back. Okay. Thank you again so much for watching. Good afternoon. My name is Donna and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. Happy 4th of July. I've got some really good things that I want to talk to you about 4th of July. And these are probably some things you didn't know about, facts of that you never knew about the 4th of July. Some I know you do, especially the first one right here. So, well, I know about Thomas Jefferson, and he was the main author of the Declaration of Independence. So there were 4 others on the drafting committee, and that was Roger Sherman, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and Robert Livingston. And I think that's some really good information. By the way, gather your kids around. Let them know about this real stuff here, okay, in American history. Now, we all know about John Hancock, okay? So John Hancock was the first person to sign the Declaration of Independence. Likely because he was the president of Congress at the time, he did sign in large hand at the center of the document, according to the National Archives. Now, his bold signature is where we get the phrase, put your John Hancock here when you're signing something. How many times have you said that? Oh, we always said, both my granddads would always say, put your John Hancock right here. So that was pretty good. But teach these things to your kids, okay? It's so important. Independence Day should have been celebrated on July the 2nd. Did you know that? I didn't either. So, although the document was dated July 4th, Congress actually voted for Independence Day from Great Britain 2 days prior on July 2nd, 1776. It apparently wasn't signed by everyone until the month later on August the 2nd, 1776. It's so funny how we get used to certain dates, and and then that's what we're taught in history. Okay, so let's talk about this one right here. Now, John Adams wrote a letter to his wife about how memorable Independence Day would be in American history. What about that? So he was obviously right. Now, in his letter, he said the day should be celebrated with parades, bonfires, and fireworks. Totally accurate, wasn't it? Absolutely. But he thought it was celebrated on the wrong day. In fact, he was known to turn down invitations to 4th of July celebrations in protest. Yeah, people did protest back in those days as well. In his correspondence to his wife, Abigail Adams, he only referred to Independence Day as July 2nd. Yeah, wow, some people are kind of stubborn, but sometimes that's a good thing, okay? All right, now, the Pennsylvania Evening Post was the first newspaper to print the Declaration. I'll show you a picture of what that looked like back in the day. Right there it is. So it came out in the newspaper on July 6th, 1776, for everyone to see after a local printer named John Dunlap produced copies of the Declaration's manuscript. What do you think about that? By the way, how many people do you think lived in the nation on July 1776? How many? Just take a guess. How many people do you think? I got it for you right here. So it's an estimated 2.5 million people lived in the nation in July 1776. As of July 21st, about 331.8 million people, of course we have more people now, live in the United States. And this is according to the United States Census. So isn't that amazing? So an estimated 2.5 million people lived in the nation in July 1776. Wow, we've grown a bit as a nation, haven't we? I'm not sure that that's actually counting folks who are here not legally as well. Okay, now let's talk about this one. I think this is pretty interesting as well. So there are 3 presidents. I love the fireworks right there, by the way. By the way, when I was a kid growing up, we lived in Oxford, Alabama. Oxford Lake was just in our backyard, basically. So we would sit out in the backyard, eat hot dogs, hamburgers, cook out, have our little sprinklers, and look at the beautiful fireworks that exploded out there just in our backyard. Beautiful. I'm so glad that that tradition still exists. So 3 presidents who signed the Declaration of Independence actually died on July 4th. I didn't know that until reading this. So those presidents were President John Adams, President Thomas Jefferson. Both died on July 4th, 1826. on the 50th anniversary of the country's independence. And President James Monroe died 5 years later on July 4th, 1831. Wow. Isn't that something? Also, did you know this? The Liberty Bell rings 13 times every Independence Day. Yeah, to honor the 13 original states. And let's talk about that just for a few seconds. So, descendants of people who signed the Declaration of Independence tap the bell located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at 2 p.m. Eastern Time every 4th of July. Man, isn't that something? Did you also know that Independence Day was once celebrated on July 5th? Yeah, so the holiday fell on Sunday, 1776, so the country actually celebrated on July 5th instead. This is back in the day, and I remember these days very well. You know, back in the day when you actually didn't buy anything on a Sunday. I remember people didn't go out to eat on Sunday, and I also remember the days when you better buy your fuel. Better buy it like on Saturday night, at least by Saturday night. So if you run out of gas, you wouldn't be able to find a service station open back in the 1960s. And I think it was probably late 60s. I was a kid, but I remember my granddad saying, oh, it was going from our house. They were at our house. And I remember my granddad said, you know what, I better go ahead and get some fuel now before the gas station closes because tomorrow's Sunday. Remember, they won't be open on Sunday. Boy, times have changed, haven't they? So let's talk about the very first. Yeah, that was the bell we were talking about just a minute ago. So the very first 4th of July fireworks actually took place in Philadelphia in 1777. So fireworks, cannons, and bells went off to honor the 13 original states, very much like modern celebrations. They even had a dinner and a parade for the Declaration of Independence very first anniversary. Yeah. So how do you celebrate the 4th of July? First of all, I'm very patriotic. I love my country. I'm a conservative patriotic. Don't apologize for that at all. And so we celebrate the country basically every day. But we cook out just a little bit. Now, back when I was going to school, we had to memorize the Declaration of Independence. There are things that we had to study on. You know, it was like real history back in the day. And I used to wonder what it would be like living in another country. You know, and then we had history about, you know, what happened with the dictators, World War I, World War II, you know, communism coming in. And I remember thinking back in the day, how can you have a multitude of people actually be taken advantage of, and how can they actually believe a dictator who actually wanted to kill people? I used to worry about that. That was a big concern of mine. I wish we could bring that back in as well. Did you know that U.S. soldiers actually got a special treat on 4th of July in the year 1778? Yeah, George Washington helped the troops celebrate by allowing them a double ration of rum, according to Live Science. Yeah, he really wanted to celebrate them. He wanted to make sure they were celebrated as well. Now, there's also a cost to celebrating the 4th of July. We don't spend a lot of money on 4th of July. I don't see the point in doing that. But Americans spend over $1 million, a B with $1 billion, on the 4th of July every single year. Yeah, according to the American, it's actually a satire that's out. The numbers continue to grow up every year. So the biggest celebration is the Macy's 4th of July fireworks show. I would love to go to that someday, which takes about 8,000 hours to prepare. So it's just as soon as the celebration is over, they start celebrating for the next time. Also, did you know that the 4th of July sales have been a thing for quite a while? You know, a lot of furnitures offer up a big sale on 4th of July sale. But according to Live Science, it was pretty much well seen as unpatriotic if you kept your business open on Independence Day before the Civil War. But after that, restaurants and stores started having sales on red, white, and blue merchandise. And they've continued to do this ever since. Isn't that amazing? Also, there are 33 places, and let's talk about this for a second. There are 33 places in the United States with the word liberty in their names. I remember we were living in Charlotte, North Carolina, and there was actually a street named Liberty. And I used to go out there a lot. It's pretty close to the TV station I used to work at there. Now, according to the U.S. Census, 4 of them are counties. And that's Georgia, a county in Georgia, and in Florida, Montana, and Texas all have Liberty County. Oh, that must be a great place to live out there. Let's talk about this one for just a second. So Calvin Coolidge was the only president born on the 4th of July. Isn't that amazing? So it probably helped his presidential campaign, don't you think? And it didn't become a federal holiday until the year 1870. So it took nearly 100 years for it to be recognized as such, but when it finally happened, it was up in the ranks with Christmas and a few other holidays. Everybody knows about the 4th of July. The Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were both signed in Philadelphia. Yeah, the Constitution was signed in September 1787, with a little over 11 years after the Declaration of Independence. While both are important to U.S. history, they are totally separate documents with different meanings. Now, Thomas Jefferson believed that a new Constitution should be written every 19 years. I didn't know about that. Let's dig in. So in a letter to James Madison, he asked if one generation of men has the right to bind another, saying that otherwise the lands would belong to the dead and not to the living, which would be the reverse of our principle, by the way. Did you know Americans eat around 150 million hot dogs each year on each Independence Day? So according to the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, they would call it peak hot dog season. Americans consume around 7 billion hot dogs. This means that 818 are being consumed every second. So producers estimate that during July, which is designated National Hot Dog Month, and it should be, 10% of annual retail hot dog sales occur, and that is a whole bunch of hot dogs. Let's go into a commercial break. We'll be right back in just a minute. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took My Pillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented My Pillow to bring you the best pillow in history, My Pillow 2.0. Because of all of you, My Pillow 2.0 has been a huge success, and now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere My Pillows with the same temperature regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of My Pillow. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our My Pillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 My Pillows and 2 Go Anywhere My Pillows. Regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Okay, so to commemorate the 4th of July, let's talk about some quotes. And I love these. I love quotes from our founding fathers. But now Winston Churchill had one, and it was called, "Americans always try to do the right thing after they've tried everything else." Winston Churchill. Is that not all? That's the truth right there if it's ever been spoken. Americans always try to do the right thing after they've tried everything else. Okay, let's come up with another quote. This is by William Faulkner. "We must be free, not because we claim freedom, but because we practice it." Oh man, I love that quote. That's from William Faulkner. Okay, let's find another one. Camellia Alves. Okay, this is number 3. "People in power are always trying to convince us that the villain in our American history is each other. And that's how people divide." Okay, it's called Conquer and Divide. So I'm going to start this over again. I like this one. "People in power are trying to convince us that the villain in our American story is each other. But that is not our story. It is not who we are. That's not our America. Our United States is Let's go ahead and let it come back up again. We just talked about Winston Churchill, Faulkner, and here we go. For some reason, this doesn't want me to quote it, but I'm going to get it out there for you anyway. Let's start over. People in power are trying to convince us that the villain in our American story is each other. But that is not our story, and that is not who we are. That's not our America. Our United States of America is not about us versus them. It's about we, the people. Don't let anybody divide you, okay? That's what this whole thing about. Trying to conquer and divide and destroy the United States from within. That's what it is. Okay, I love that one. Thomas Wolfe had another good one. America. It is the only place where miracles not only happen, but where they happen all the time. I like that one too. Thomas Wolfe. Here's another good one. Thomas Paine. These are inspirational. I think I'm going to print some of these out. Those who expect to reap the blessings of freedom must, like men, undergo the fatigue of supporting it. Yeah, it takes some sweat in there. This is by Thomas Paine. Thank you for that quote, Mr. Paine. Theodore Roosevelt. I am an American, free-born and free-bred, where I acknowledge no man as my superior except for his own worth, or as my inferior except for his own demerit. That's Theodore Roosevelt. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, let's see what she says. America is known as a country that welcomes people to its shores, all kinds of people, and I'm going to add that come in the right way. My daughter-in-law is actually from Russia, and she is an American. She came in the right way. She was also tutored to speak English, by the way. She knows more American history than all of us do combined, probably. Okay, this is by Rudyard Kipling. All we use or know, this is our fathers bought for us a long ago. Wow, look, let's read this one again. All we use or know, this our fathers bought for us long ago. Another good one. Okay, I've got another good one right here. This is by Ronald Reagan. He's one of my heroes. If we ever forget that we are one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under. I'm going to quote this one. This is by Ronald Reagan. If we ever forget that we are one nation under God, then we will be one nation gone under. It's a good one, President Reagan. Okay, here is one right here. We shall go wild with fireworks, and they will plunge into the sky and shatter the darkness. That's by Takaya. Okay. Freedom is the oxygen of the soul. Oh, it is. To feel free is just all there is. If you've never visited another country, I beg you, save some money up and do that. You'll find out exactly how liberated we are. Even though we fuss and fight with each other all the time, we are the best nation by far, and we want to keep it that way. Okay, this is Margaret Thatcher. Europe was created by history. America was created by psychology. Okay, and this is by Thurgood Marshall. Where you see wrong or inequality or injustice, speak out, because this is your country, this is your democracy. Make it, protect it, pass it on. Okay, this is by Leach Walesa. We hold our heads high despite the price we have paid, because freedom is priceless. It most certainly is. You know what it is to feel bogged down? You know, like you've got, let's say you have, maybe you're worried about your kids. Maybe you're worried about your finances. Maybe you're worried about anything in general. You don't feel the freedom, right? And then when you find out everything is okay, maybe the kids are better off than you thought they were. Maybe your finances are better off than you thought they were. And you can breathe and you can feel some freedom. There's nothing better. This is by John Philip Salsa. The red and white and starry blue is freedom's shield and hope. This is by John F. Kennedy. Everywhere immigrants have enriched and strengthened the fabric of American life. Yeah, absolutely. And you've come in and you are a true American citizen. And you come in the right way. Jesse Lane Adams. I love my freedom. I love my America. I do too. Herbert Hoover. Freedom is the open window through which pours the sunlight of the human spirit, and human dignity. Herbert Hoover. Hazel Scott says, whoever walked behind anyone to freedom, if we can't go hand in hand, I don't want to go. Liberty is always dangerous. Liberty is always dangerous, but it's the safest thing we have. I think that's pretty darn good, don't you? Okay, so let's talk about the best 4th of July quotes. We still have a little bit of time. This is just a good day to sit back and reflect. And why you are an American. I mean, why are you? Is it because you were born here, you don't know any better? I invite you to go back and look at history of other countries. And I know I've talked to my daughter-in-law, Larissa, who is from Russia. Wasn't fun growing up. Under communist rule, no one owns anything. And so she talked about how it was growing up. So you had this plot of land, you worked really hard, you had a garden, it was not your land, it was not your food you were harvesting either, by the way. You got to keep some of it, but most of it went to the government. Being under communist rule is not a good thing. We have liberty, and I hope this is not taken away, but we have the liberty to own our own property. Even in the worst of times, let's say you're late on your house payment, you still own it right now, right? And there's still hope that you're going to be able to make that house payment. Let's talk a little bit about dignity. And I know it's kind of out of style for people to be prosperous and to want to be better and to want to learn more and read books like you see all those behind me right there. But reading is just, you're educating yourself. I asked my 102-year-old Aunt Elizabeth Burgess, I said, why are you so spry? I mean, she lives by herself. I mean, nobody has to sit with her. She does her own thing. She reads a lot. She said that was one of the reasons that she felt like she was able to keep her mind like she does. She's always on a learning assignment. I know every time I go to her house, she's a collector. And so she'll find that she loves to go to yard sales, and she still loves to go to auctions. And she has picked up a lot of stuff at auctions. And so she just gets all into, she's not afraid of the internet. Now, she doesn't know how to use it, so that's why she depends on me to sit with her and let her see all the different things that she has. And she'll say, now, I bought this about 20 years ago. Can you tell me what it's worth right now? By the way, she gave me a bunch of books. And you know what most of those books are about? Learning. They're about how to make yourself a better person. They're about gardening. How do you garden? They're about how to decide what are antiques and stories from a long time ago. A lot of them are biblical. Most of her books are. Commentaries. And she just swears by that. She said, if you go through life and you can't learn or you don't want to, if you think you're a know-it-all, you're not going to live a long, fruitful life. You got to be constantly wanting to learn. She does crossword puzzles. She said, you got to keep your mind busy. Don't sit around and watch soaps all the time. That's another one of her deals. She said, no, you need to keep busy and you need to always want to learn. Be a little ambitious. It's okay. Have a little bit of pride about yourself. That's okay too. So those are some really good quotes from that lady who's a big driver in my life as well. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of The Edge on IEC Radio. I hope you've had a fabulous 4th of July, and I hope it's something you can go back and do a little studying, okay? Do some research. Talk to your kids, to your grandkids. Let them know what the 4th of July is really all about. Independence Day, okay? And it is true independence. You take care. Again, thank you so much for watching. Good afternoon. My name is Donna and I'm your host of The Edge on ISC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundance Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to be talking about gardening today. And another thing we're going to talk about is 10 natural ways to keep bugs out of your garden. Now, some bugs are good bugs, okay? So don't get rid of all of them, but there are so many natural ways we can do it without adding herbicides or any poisonous and chemicals and things like that to your food and to your plants as well, because when it rains, guess what? It goes down into the grass, goes down, may find its way into your garden. So that's another reason that we want to do things the absolute natural way. Before we get started, I found this article. It's actually on birdsandblooms.com. I love that magazine. It's full of all kinds of fantastic stuff. So let's look at this video. It's only about a minute or so, and I'll be right back.
You know, on some level, it's kind of hard for me to shift into how to keep birds away from feeders. But even in the Kaufman household, there are times when we ponder, how do we keep these birds away from our feeders? Now, bully birds tend to be larger birds, so there are a few things that you can do. This is a big deal in the industry, so there are feeders that have been designed that sit in the middle of a wire cage. And the cage is constructed so that small birds can get through the squares, but larger birds, those bully birds, can't make it through to the feeder, and those work really effectively. Now, if you're trying to keep bully birds away from your suet cakes, you know, they'll gobble those down in no time flat. So there are feeders that have been designed that only allow access from underneath the feeder. The larger bully birds, the cowbirds and blackbirds and starlings, are not agile enough to hang upside down and access the feeder from underneath, but the smaller birds, like your nuthatches and chickadees and downy woodpeckers, they can. So that's a really effective way to keep bully birds away from your suet cakes.
Fantastic advice. I really love that. I love birds and I love looking at them. I don't want them taking my berries though. So let's think about some natural ways to do that. First of all, start with clean soil. I really believe in the concrete block garden. It's where I use the big, it's like the big 16 inches, and there are two little holes on the inside, okay? So what we like to do is double those. So I'll have a concrete block here, a concrete block here. That takes care of two plants right there. I really think that helps you've got good clean soil and compost that we use, that we developed our own self, so it has nothing in it, just what we put in it, no chemicals, no nothing like that. And so all you do is just let your garden grow. You get a few weeds in there. There's going to be a few little birds that are going to fly over and dump something, if you know what I mean, into your little garden. So you could have a couple of weeds that come through, but so easy, such low maintenance right there. I want to say, it's an absolutely wonderful. Look at those. Aren't they beautiful? My tiger lilies are about to start blooming, by the way. As soon as they start blooming, I'm going to go ahead and put a picture up there so you can see that's my favorite flower, the tiger lily. Good, beautiful, vibrant orange, a bunch of yellows in it, black. It's just beautiful. So start with clean soil. So that can actually deter garden insects, but it also takes time to prepare. So here's a good method right here. Okay, just like I mentioned just a few seconds ago, you want to first you want to till in organic matter like compost, which we have our own. So this is from grass cutting clippings, leftover vegetable peels, stuff like that. And all that goes into the compost pile. Any branches that may fall off of the trees due to storms or whatever, we get those and we put that in there too. It takes a while to decompose, unless you want to get one of those big pitchforks and you can turn it, and it happens even quicker. You know you got good compost when you see these little worms that are all in your. I love worms now. There was a time I did ick, only for fishing, but I love worms. That means you've got really good soil. So till the good stuff in. Now you need to do this when the growing season begins. This helps keep everything clean by adding natural elements and compounds that help keep the pest away. Now after tilling, you want to cover the garden, like you've seen mine, with black plastic or cardboard for 6 months. The heat that builds up underneath will kill most garden pests, their eggs, weeds, parasites, and a host of other harmful microorganisms. After removing the plastic, you can lightly cultivate the soil you're ready for planting. So I like to do this in the fall time of the year. So we've just about cut the grass, all we're going to do. A great way to do this is to get your hose out, and wherever you want the new gardening area to be, go ahead and spray it down really, really good. It's good to do it now during hot weather as well. And then what you'll do is put your black, now get the thickest, the best you can get, okay? Don't get the cheap stuff. Now, I'm not talking about garbage bags. I'm talking about this real thick plastic. You can get it at Lowe's. They've got it out there. You can get it on Amazon too. And just roll it out. Well, wait first, number one, put your cardboard out there on top of the watered grass. Okay, you don't even have to till anything up. So do that, and then put the black plastic on top of it. Now, you're going to get a lot of wind in the wintertime, okay? So make sure you got plenty of blocks holding that down. And then in the spring, when you're ready to have a garden, very little tilling, and it's going to be compost all by itself. As a matter of fact, some of that grass cutting clippings that you have, if you're going ahead, okay, do this first. Go ahead and put wet the ground real good, soak it up really good. And then you put grass cuttings on there, put your cardboard on top, more grass cuttings, your black plastic, you're set for next year. It takes all the work out of it. And you've got good, clean compost ready for a garden. Okay, let's see. Buy disease-resistant seeds, by the way. Be real careful about that. Now, we have our own seeds that we've been collecting for a long time. No chemical, no reproduction of anything. But this is what they say at birdsandblooms.com. So it's easier to prevent diseases and pests than it is to get rid of them. So after they arrive in your garden, when you look at seeds in a catalog, look for letters like these. V as in Victor, F as in Fizel, N as in Nancy, or T as in Tom, after the name of a seed. Now, they indicate problems to which the seed is most resistant. Now, V and F stand for, I can't even pronounce this, so I hope I'm not butchering it up too bad, Versilinium and Fusarium. These are two diseases that affect tomatoes. Okay, now N is for nematodes, and T is for tobacco mosaic virus, which causes leaves to wilt and yellow, and that damages the plant roots. So you have all these components now to a plant. You got the root. It could be also known as a tap root. It's going to be the big one right here. But anyway, the root system, that's got to be healthy. The stem, that's where the leaves are on. The stem has got to be nice, and it's got to be healthy, and this is going to hold up a lot of fruit, like your tomatoes, for instance. And then your leaves are another indication that you could be having a problem with that flower, with that root. So this is what I did. I found an issue that was going on with my beans, my snow peas. And what happened is I put these little clips down to kind of guide the plant to go straight up. And I left them on there too long. I almost killed the plant because when I started noticing really quick, the leaves started turning kind of a yellowy looking color. It's because they were being held down by that little plastic pedestal that was trying to make the plant grow straight. I won't do that again. Make sure you look at the leaves. That's going to be your first indication something is wrong. And so I got it just in time, so I was able to save it. Okay, now selectively and aggressively thin out plants. Okay, so this is essential because small, weak seedlings are more likely to become diseased. They get sicker quicker, and they in turn may pass the problem on to your healthy plants. So be sure to prune away any dead shoots, branches that restrict airflow. Plants need good air circulation to breathe and stay healthy, just like we do. And so this is what I do with my tomato plants. Now, it looked to everybody who was looking at the garden that I was just absolutely killing the tomatoes. But I wasn't. What I was doing is I wanted to add airflow. I wanted the fruit to be able to receive air. They've got to have oxygen. So if you're not careful, you're going to have too many leaves that are going to be blocking the way. They're going to be doing two different things. They're going to be blocking sunlight from that fruit. And I'm not talking about having so much sunlight that it blisters. What I'm talking about is they've got to see some sun. If you have too many leaves, it's going to be an issue. Also, if you have too many leaves, too many stems, too much of that stuff is too much of the good stuff, because what that's going to do is take a lot of that growth and a lot of that healthy calcium and a lot of that healthy airflow, the whole works. It's going to take all of that, some of that away from the fruit. So remember this, you want fruit to grow and you want it to be big, more so than leaves, okay? You got to have some, but take some of them away. And what I've learned by going to the Master Gardening class is you're spending a lot of the time pruning. It's not only in the late winter time. Okay, now the other thing that you want to do right here is you want to water plants. Look at that. Look at those essential bugs right there. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. I think I got ahead of myself. You need to water your plants early in the morning. Okay, I used to, sometimes I would do it in the morning, sometimes I would do it in the afternoon. So what I have learned, this is a true fact right here. Why? Because, well, plants primarily need water to help with photosynthesis. That's important, which occurs during the day. Also, if you water later in the day, the leaves are going to be damp during the cooler nighttime, and that's an ideal condition for promoting fungus and other diseases. So I've noticed my plants are a lot healthier since I watered, and I feel watered them this morning. So watering in the morning hours versus in the evening hours. Okay, now when you do water, soak the roots rather than getting the foliage wet. So when you do water, soak the roots rather than getting all the leaves and everything wet. Soaker or drip hoses are a good investment, and it's just a good way to keep disease down. And again, I've seen people spray. I've passed by businesses where they would have a sprinkler system out. Oh my goodness, whoever set the system up didn't know what they were doing, because what they were doing is, instead of where the roots are with the plant, it was spraying all over the leaves and everything. That's not how you do it. Don't do it that way. You're only inviting trouble when you do that. Control weeds. Weeds compete with your plants for valuable resources such as water, nutrients, and sunlight. They also arbor garden insect pests and parasites too, so make sure you pull the weeds and their roots completely out of the ground. I remember being a kid I would think I was pulling roots out. All I was doing is just pulling the flowers and the leaves off of the root. You got to get the root, so get the whole thing out. Otherwise, it's going to keep going and get bigger too, which is going to be another issue. Keep the garden clean. Removing faded blooms, fallen leaves, and weeds is important because decaying plant matter is a prime breeding ground for fungus, garden bugs, and diseases. So carry a small pail or a bucket with you every time you enter the garden and use that for collecting litter. Make sure you use insect traps. Okay, so yellow sticky cards are available at most garden centers. You can find those. But you know something else you can use? Yeah, duct tape. Get duct tape and put that out there, and your bugs stick to it. They can't get away. We use duct tape for everything. Now, when placed on the ground and in between the shoots or branches of plants, they'll catch many of those garden bugs that are traveling through the garden. So, again, duct tape works good, and it'd be cheaper than buying these sticky cards. Okay, add beneficial insects. Do that. That's what we got to just a few minutes ago. Ladybugs. They can be invaluable in the fight against garden insects. They eat aphids, mites, and eggs and larvae of many of those destructive insects. You want to love those ladybugs. Other beneficial garden bugs include praying mantises, lacewings, parasite wasp. I know you think about a wasp and get stung, but parasitic wasps are good. Most beneficial insects can be purchased from large horticultural supply companies, and your county extension agent also can help you determine the quantity you need for your garden. And we got real good ones here in Alabama, all over the United States. Make sure you're going ahead and keep a good plug-in with them, okay? Now, one important thing is don't use any chemicals for 10 days before releasing those insects, or guess what? You're not going to have them. Let's go into a commercial break. We're going to be right back in just a minute. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes.
Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers.
At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Okay, we're back. We're talking about gardening and the clean, natural way to get rid of insects, okay? There's some good ones, but there's some bad ones. Okay, practice crop rotation. This is something we learned in class. I think it was really awesome. So if you grow the same crop in the same place every year, the specific garden bugs that attack that crop will stay in the area. They're not going to go bye-bye. So waiting for the next spring planting is what they're waiting for. Rotating crops help keep the viral soil nutrients from being depleted. For instance, plant like beans and stuff like that, which put nitrogen into the soil where you planted last tomatoes, corns, and squash, which can deplete the nitrogen in the soil. So you can just rotate those two crops. Get your beans where the tomatoes were and the tomatoes where the beans were. That's going to help take care of that. Pinch off dead or infested leaves. Do that because when you see signs of diseased leaves, you need to pluck those things off, and this will stop them from contaminating the entire plant. So on some of the blackberries that we have, there are blackberries coming out all over the place, but we saw some Japanese beetles. Not a good thing. So we did two things that are natural. First of all, I got my clips out and we got rid of all those branches that they were just like living on there. They wouldn't leave. So we went on ahead and just got rid of them and get rid of all the bad disease looking leaves. And then Phil made a solution of hydrogen peroxide and water, and then he sprayed that on the plant. And I've not seen any more come back. Okay, they don't like that. You need to make a solution. I forgot what the exact measurement is. I think it's a quarter. You need to look it up on the line, but I'm pretty sure it was a quarter cup of hydrogen peroxide to 1 gallon of water. Okay, so that gets that. Okay, more ways to keep bugs and birds out of your garden. So this is what the author says. Insect-eating birds, such as eastern bluebirds, can provide a valuable service in pest control. So she said, we put a bluebird house at the edge of our garden, and the birds manage the bugs for us. The plants lure the bugs, which is an easy meal for the bluebirds. It says Birds and Blues reader Monica Parrington of Raleigh, North Carolina. Boy, I miss North Carolina. Some good folks live out there. Also, she says, I grow mostly native trees. And this is really important too. So my friend Miss Baker with Baker Farms is telling me about this, and I got some of her perennials and shrubs and stuff. And now the plants that play host to certain insects may attract a variety of birds. It's a win-win situation that requires no management from me, says Birds and Blooms reader Sarah Miller of Avondale Estates, Georgia. She also says, to control ants, I sprinkle cinnamon along their trails and on their hills. And that's how she gets rid of them. Okay, now this is a good one, which is about Japanese beetles invading the garden every spring. She says, I put a squirt of lemon Ajax dish soap. And that's what Phil used. So a squirt of lemon Ajax dish soap and a cup of water in a pot. Then knock the beetles into the pot, she says. So also companion planting. And let's talk about that just for a second. I think it's probably on this one right here. Okay, so one of this author's favorite combinations is alternating rows of carrots and onions. Together they keep the carrot flies and the onion magnets away. I love the idea of companion planting. So to keep slugs from eating tender young foliage, use horticulture grade, and it's something that's in the earth. It's called diamocatosis earth, sprinkled around the plants. Fresh herbs such as lemon balm also keep bad bugs away. And I got plenty of that. I'll make sure I keep it. So I want to talk about, if we've got time, and I think we've got just a few minutes, and this is how to keep squash bugs out of your garden. Oh man, I hate those things. Look at this. This is what a squash bug looks like. They are the most ugliest, hideous, stinking, and we call them stink bugs too. But they are just, they're awful. And once they get started, it's hard to get rid of them. So this also says, if you're a gourd lover, here's how to keep squash bugs out of your garden so they don't ruin your pies, pumpkins, and your cucumbers. And I saw a few of them. So this is what a squash bug is. They're well known to farmers and backyard gardeners. Unless you've cultivated gourds or squash, zucchini, pumpkins, cucumbers, melon, you may not have encountered this bug. We have. So here's what you need to know about squash bugs and how to keep them out of your vegetable garden. So what are they? They're defined as a true bug. Squash bugs are insects with kind of like needle-like little mouth parts that suck the life out of the young tender plants by extracting subsurface fluids. Now looking kind of like they look like a stink bug. Squash bugs measure around 5-8 inches long. They're dark gray to darkish brown gray with orange and brown stripes on their abdomens. So dealing with a box elder bug infestation, we're going to tell you how to do that in just a second. Now, their tiny oval-shaped eggs are typically copper or bronze, and they're about 1/16 of an inch long. Eggs hatch in about 10 days, and they go through 5 stages of growth until they reach full maturity in around 4 to 6 weeks. Now, the young nymphs start out with light green bodies with black heads and legs. Now, as they grow, they turn light gray and finally to a brownish gray. So, how do squash bugs damage yards and gardens? Okay, these problematic pests are capable of laying tons of tiny eggs on the underside of leaves. Now, if they're left unchecked, they could kill your plants, and they also can transmit, they call it the CYVD disease. It's a bacteria-type disease that, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, could result in serious losses to crops. So early detection is critical. Okay, and another thing you can do, and we learned about this in class, so you can put down white plastic. And this is a natural way to get rid of them. Put down your white plastic. Okay, get ready for the summer garden, but you need to do this in the fall of the year. Okay, just like I said before with the black plastic, if you'll use white, good, durable plastic, that's a must. So you put that down. And what happens when you do put your plants in, keep the plastic there, because what's going to happen is that white is going to reflect light. And those stinky bugs there, they like to go under the leaves. They want to be under it. So what's going to happen is that white, see that white is going up against my light right there. So you can see my hand right there. What's going to happen is that's going to reflect and the bugs are just going to fall off. You're lucky that they go the underside. That's what they think, they're creating havoc. And they are, but if you can get them just in time, you're going to be okay. Now let's talk about how to get rid of those nasty bugs. Okay, you want to scrape the eggs stuck to the underside and stem of leaves and smash them so they don't hatch into nymphs, okay? Now if you see the nymphs, you want to pick them off the plants like ASAP. Now they can't sting you or anything like that, they're just ugly. Okay, because the adult squash bugs are harder to kill. So if you get them when they're little, then you're in good shape. Now introduce parasite insects like the trigonoid fly, which lay their eggs around the thoraxes of squash bugs. Now when the fly eggs hatch, the larvae burrow into the squash bug's body and it will slowly kill it. Now insecticides are available to home gardeners. They're generally not as effective against the adult bugs though. However, targeting immature nymphs has shown some success. Now how to prevent them? We got just about a minute left. Okay, keep your plants healthy. You want to fertilize properly and water regularly, okay? Also plant early to cultivate larger plants which tend to be hardier and more resistant against those squash bugs. During the growing season, remove debris to eliminate spaces for the squash bugs to hide. You want to clean up the cucurbit plant matter in the fall to reduce the number of squash bugs that are going to hang around during the winter months. And another thing, again, engage in companion planting. It's a method that uses other plants for pest deterrence. Radishes are included in that. Marigolds. I keep marigolds all over the garden. That's the best thing you can do, and they're so easy to grow. Okay, you want to get one marigold. Out of one marigold, the flower of it on the inside is where all the seeds are. If you get just one, just sacrifice one and save it, let it dry out, let it go into seed, and then as quick as you possibly can. Like, see, I've got a greenhouse, and you can also do it inside your house, okay? Just make sure that you've got a good bit of sunshine coming through a window. If you'll plant those, you're going to have some marigold plants, and you're not going to have to go spend like $6 a piece. They went up in price. You won't have to spend $6 a piece for them. You will have hundreds of plants just out of one. Now, I saved mine. Make sure air doesn't go to it. Keep it in the freezer, okay? That's the best way to do it. That's one of your best things you can plant out in your garden is marigolds. Bee balm and catnip also do a real good job repelling squash bugs. Make sure that you use floating row covers to create a barrier that prevents bugs from feeding and laying eggs on your plants. I hope you learned something. And this is a real easy thing to do. You're not spending a whole bunch of money. You're doing it the natural way, but save at least one marigold plant. You'll be glad you did. Okay. Oh, marigold bloom. That's where the seeds are. Okay, thank you so much for watching.